Yes, ma'am. And we'll call the meeting to order. Thank you folks for being here tonight. I'll call on Councilor Taylor to please lead us in their invocation.
Please let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the glory of it, and this beautiful weather. We thank you for this world that we live in, and the country we live in, and the freedoms we enjoy. We pray that you would continue to bless us with those freedoms. We make us appreciative of those, and in particular the freedom that we have to worship as we wish and as we please. We pray that you will be with us tonight as we debate the county's business, and that everything that will be done tonight will be pleasing in your sight. With these and our many other blessings, we thank you. We pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Get all right. Commissioner Langston will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April 5th meeting. Do I have a motion? Approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, corrections. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Appearance of citizens. Nancy.
You have two more signed up besides the one
For the
that's
same.
for the same thing.
Okay. All right, Ricky and Kathy Flournoy have asked to be on the agenda to discuss Washington Road paving issues. And I would ask them to come forward. I will say that we do have representatives from our engineer as well as the paving contractor here tonight, so that we can hopefully answer any questions that may arise. Ms. Flournoy.
Okay, where do I begin? We have a lot of issues. I've been in contact with several people, and nothing has really, we haven't gotten any good answers. We need to know some information on why things are done, why things haven't been done, who was responsible for watching over this project from the county to make sure that it didn't get to this point. I don't know, we're just kind of frustrated right now. A lot of places in the road, that one in particular that has just been left. 2-3 weeks of nothing being done. It rains on it, gets muddy, gets dangerous, they come back and they scrape it. Does the same thing next time it rains. They don't. When they dropped the ball there almost 3 weeks ago, and just stopped working, and we couldn't figure out why. And that was right after I was told that Greg had a meeting with the contractor and the engineer, and the engineers didn't show up. And we just haven't gotten any good answers as to why these things are happening. Don't know why the road was built up 6 feet on our end of the road. Don't know why the road work stopped where it did, and they didn't put any gravel on it. I know that they've been working on the road bed, putting it down, then adding gravel, and then going to another section. They got to this section and added dirt, and didn't widen the road bed to the point where the other was. They weren't finished with it. Then it rained, and then they came back and graded it, and then they hadn't done any work. Very, very little work at all in that respect on that end. We've got those issues. We've got issues on driveways. We have another resident here that his driveway used to be a very, very small slope, and now it's like a ski slope going down, and you can't get out of it. We can give you more information We've got, Taylor's driveway is not but half as wide as what it is supposed to be when they put the pipes under. Hadn't done anything with that. The trees that have been cut by the power company, they're still cutting, and we did talk to them. And they said, they cut limbs off of trees, and they've got trees as high as this room is, just sticking up with no limbs or anything.
We were told they were gonna trim a few limbs.
When we signed the papers for power lines to come down our side of the road, we were told that just a few limbs would be trimmed up to get the power lines in. And they've cut 5, maybe 4 feet into the wooded area, cutting limbs off of trees. And the trees are still standing, the limbs are still on the ground. They did tell us, we stopped and asked them, he did say, and this was last week, tomorrow they're gonna come in and mulch that up, chip it up and throw it into the woods. Okay, no problem. I said, what about the trees then? He said, we'll cut those. But that's a worker talking. Nothing's been done. Debris is still there. I'm not sure how far, they've gotten quite a ways down the road. Over halfway down the road, trimming those limbs that we know of that they needed. So there's just a lot of things that we're real concerned about. The water issue down the way, I don't know the name of the creek that's in front of Danny Kemp's house, land, floods every time it rains and washes all this dirt that is on that road that they've added to the road down there into that creek, down into onto his land, into the flatlands. It looks horrible. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he sent me pictures today of all of this damage on his land. I believe he told me that he sent it to all of you. You can see what it looks like. My major issue right now is what happened to whoever was supposed to be overseeing this job to get it to the point that it is now, that it has kind of ballooned into a big, big problem. And what are you going to do about it? What's going to happen now? I know we're getting the road paved. I know past 3 weeks they haven't done much other than down there where the road has stopped being worked on and it's nothing but mud, and they come in every time it rains and grade it and flatten it back up. Next time it rains, it does it again. All the runoffs, we never had issues with. Water came down, but clear water off of the mountain is a whole lot different than water with mud coming off of the road that they've added, that we haven't figured out why they added it, because the road bed was good. We had a good solid road bed. It just in places wasn't wide enough to make a 2-lane road, and we just, you know, we're confused.
I'm not even going to attempt to answer any questions because I have the engineer that designed the road, or at least was in on the design on the road, and Mr. Pugh from Robinson Paving can speak to those questions far better than I can. And if the chairman wishes them to.
I think, first of all, let me say this, I share your frustration at this point in time very deeply. We do have 2 others that have signed up to speak. I think probably let's hear from them so that those problems can be put on the board.
And I do see
and then we will.
I do see the engineer out there taking notes. And just to clear up, we did meet with both Mr. Robinson and Mr. Brazil from EMC out there Monday, as well as with a public works director and Commissioner Cheney. And we know about the driveway, we know about some of the issues. So we're aware of the issues. We raised the issues.
We raised the issues months ago
Yeah.
about the driveways. and he can't use his driveway.
I
Y'all done ran ahead of that before?
and you're talking to the wrong, I didn't design that, so.
No, but whoever's in charge,
Question is, what-
sure it gets fixed.
Question is, what we're gonna do about it now?
Yeah,
That's,
let's see if we can get the answers tonight on how we're gonna, we do want the other answers too, but how, the most important thing is moving forward. I do want to also understand the other, but we gotta move forward and get this thing taken care of. And that's what I'm more interested in tonight than anything.
One other thing.
Not to ignore the other, though.
Yeah, yes, right. We understand that there was 180 days for the contract. And rain days were built into that 180 days.
that's a question that we're discussing with the attorney right
Yeah,
now.
I think,
So we're looking at a deadline of May 4th around that area, would have been the original deadline. I don't see that happening.
you're right.
So what's, is the county gonna get some penalties? Are we gonna have some timelines on what we're gonna get done? And what can we expect so that, and who do I need to contact? Since a lot of the things that I contacted people with didn't get addressed when I contacted them. I don't know who else to go to. So,
Thank you.
we'll let the other-
Yeah, let's listen to the other two and then we'll.
David Taylor?
David Taylor, 964 Washington Road, Hamilton, Georgia. I got three things, I guess, that I need. The first major issue I have, and I gave it to Nancy, and she said she'd have Greg call me, but I was never contacted him. And that was 3 weeks ago. I've lost a driveway, and I talked to the workers. They assured me it was going to happen. Did not take place. But I have a dual driveway, and now I have a single driveway. I had to get a permit. I had to get the pipe to put in there. But when we built my sister's house, they run together, but it's a wide driveway. I lost it.
That's been addressed, and Mr. Rizzo.
I know, but you would think they put the pipes in and covered it and buried it, that it would have been done, so you don't have to redo the work, is what I'm getting at. And then when that was done, they filled it up. It was nice enough, but it was all red clay. I had crush and run in there. Well, I come out one day, and I'm stuck trying to get my newspaper. I'm just spinning in my own driveway. I mean, throwing the red clay on it and leveling it doesn't make it work. And y'all know, you're from Georgia, what red clay does. So anyway, that was very frustrating on my truck. It's an old the trees. I know Kathy and them were talking about limbs. I mean, we've got some pine trees that they cut that are on the property now that have just fallen all back in. And there's some other big trees. I'm not talking about limbs right now. I'm talking about trees that fell into our property.
They were on the right of way and cut by the road crew, or was this related to a power?
I don't know who cut it. I mean, it's Tree Incorporated. It doesn't say Georgia Power on it or anything. So, but it's dealing with the power lines, I'm sure. I mean, and then they cut them and leave them, I estimate 30, 40 feet high with nothing. It looks like they're in Louisiana with nothing on them all the way down the road. They're being trimmed, but they're still 30 or 40 feet up with no limbs, no nothing, just sticks, trees straight up.
And I've seen that, I can't answer that, I don't know if that's, if they trim them that way and then they come and take them down.
Well, I guess that's what we're trying to
But
find.
we've got folks here,
Okay.
hopefully they can answer those questions for you.
Because, we were asked, or I was asked to sign a waiver because they didn't want the power lines on somebody else's property. I said yes, but not with that kind of appearance. That's just terrible. And concerned about the height of it and how it drops down, that's pretty dangerous. I'm just letting you all know that. And I think if you've been out there and looked at it, you'll know. And there's no
The height of the
guardrail.
road bed,
Sir?
the height of the road bed.
Well, it was built up, yes, and then it made the slope, you know, much higher. And I want to speak a little bit, I know he's going to, but I've had to use his driveway because we couldn't get in or out. Harold's driveway goes like this. His wife liked to flip the car. And we talked to the people. They were going to do something 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whatever. I'll let Harold address that. But it's very, very dangerous. And I've scraped the bottom of my truck using his when I couldn't get out of mine when they were working. So it's dangerous, very dangerous. And I used to live in that property, so I'm scared for them. I'm scared for his wife, to be honest with you. So I'm tickled to death that you're doing the road. I'm not moaning and groaning about that, but we were told things were going to be left the way they were. We didn't get mail delivered because the mailboxes were not 42 inches after they raised the, and so we get the mail and they said, we're not going to deliver your mail. You have to come get it. Small thing, but
We did get that fixed though, right?
well, we had to put our own mail back, buy the wood, put them up so we could get our mail.
Really? I thought that good. Okay.
We did that, not whoever's in charge. Again, not a big thing, but it's an aggravation. Big aggravation. Okay, I'll complain.
Yes, sir.
Gosh, please give us some help.
And I think, and again, the engineer will speak to this, and I went out there and I originally had concerns when I saw how much fill was involved in that. I'm going, this is gonna be a tall road. But I also, when you look at out there, I think, and the engineer can explain it better, is the line of sight issue. You can now see somebody coming, you know,
Oh,
from the top of the hill all the way down to.
No, I agree with you totally.
And
But that fall off
I'm an
grade
engineer.
is
I
very,
understand. Oh, I understand.
bad.
I'm not,
And we see, it's beautiful. I mean, with what they've done, you can see and all that, but leaving all that stuff and.
And they're not finished, but let's have the other folks talk and hopefully we can get some good explanation.
Harold, and I can't pronounce your last name.
Right one. How you doing? Harold Brightline, 960 Washington Road. I agree with everything that they're saying, but I'm here more on the safety issue, particularly my driveway. My mailbox was originally moved, and it was 3 feet above the ground, and that's how high they raised the bed at the peak of my driveway. And they put no fill in there other than to make a grade for me to get down. So when you turn down my driveway from the road, you're basically turning blind. You can't see the road until you're going down the driveway. My wife came home from picking up my son, and she almost went over the edge. You can see the tire tracks going over the cliff. If my wife flips her vehicle with my son in it because of this driveway, that's going to be the big issue with me. Same coming out of it, you need to get a runner to get out. And if I mean, I can only look so far because of the trees. If I get a runner up there and somebody's coming and sideswipes me, it's the way I have to get out of my driveway right now. And it's just a major safety concern for me. And I have talked to the supervisor, I cannot remember his name, but it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he said, he talked to me, he said, how far down we're gonna run dirt. He said, the following week is when this should be done, and I haven't seen, heard anything happen since then. You know, he's saying about taking some trees down and make it wider, which I'm fine with. You know, whatever they need to do, I'm more than willing to let them do. But something needs to happen pretty soon, because it's just too big a safety hazard for me to feel comfortable with, for myself and my family. And the other safety concern is those, when they raise the bed over there, are we putting guardrails down along these sides? Because that's a pretty far slope that you can go down should anybody, especially in this gravel, I see some kids driving down the roads doing some pretty excessive speeds, and I hate to see anybody go over that. So those are my complaints right now.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I am very concerned about those too. Tonight, we're gonna get some answers. We're gonna lay out some things that need to be done, get some timing on those issues, so we can get this thing corrected. I know you folks have endured much more than you should have. I'm sorry, we are where we are here, but as I said earlier, our interest is moving forward, getting it taken care of. We will also get the answers on the others, but we need to get y'all taken care of so you have a safe roadway, a complete roadway, those kind of, and all the details are taken care of.
And I would like to add to that I'm very concerned about the safety issue. I've driven the road twice in the last 2 months. I was not comfortable at all
No.
driving that road.
Yeah, those edges are eroding
Yes.
with the water, and
Yes.
with that bank
Very
in
much.
there. I
So
agree.
we need to do whatever we need to do to make that road safe.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would now ask if, Chris, if you would come forward, and Robinson, if you would. You've heard the issues, they are a great concern to us. I know you haven't had maybe as long as you need to prepare everything, but I do want to hear kind of the responses and what we're gonna get done and when we might be able to get it done.
Absolutely.
We will go into later how we got where we are, but
Sure.
I do want this first. Let's go forward.
Okay, good evening, I'm Chris Browson with EMC Engineering Services. I'm going to try to do the best to address the engineering aspect and some of the items that were brought up by the citizens, and please, if I miss something, interject and I'll try to address it, and then I'll let the contractor representative from Robinson Paving talk about any construction methods. I feel like just kind of go down the list and kind of address items that were brought up for the public record. Ms. Flournoy mentioned a meeting that the engineer missed. Yes, the engineer did missed a meeting, and the reason for that was the representative from the county who called to schedule the meeting was going to call me back with a time. For whatever reason, that didn't happen. We blocked out the day for it, and then we got a phone call during the meeting, where you're at, and I discussed it with the individual, and he did bring it up in the meeting last Thursday that he admitted he did not call us back. So I do want to make sure that you guys know that we're being responsible. We're in Columbus, Georgia. We're a local firm. We pride ourselves about being responsive, and I hope you guys understand that we want to give you the level of service that all of our clients get, and especially being our next door neighbor. So I wanted to put that on the record. Regarding the power company and the trees, I really don't have a good response to that. Georgia Power is known the purview of our design contract. Mr. Pugh with Robinson Paving has no control over the power company. They kind of do what they want to with setting their poles and their own time schedule and how they do it. Regarding the way that their operation is, it's my understanding, I'm no expert, so I'm probably speaking out of my level of confidence, but I do know that they sub out all of their clearing to different companies that has a statewide contract. And unfortunately, they have contractors that are responsible for limbing the trees, and then they have contractors that are responsible for cutting the trees. And they're not necessarily the same people. So this very well could be the case in this situation where Ms. Flournoy said that they trimmed the trees but didn't cut the trees. they may be waiting to get another contractor on board to cut the tree down. But there again, that's nothing that we caused, that's nothing that Robinson Paving did, that's nothing that the county caused. That's just the way that a big power company operates, and that's their MO. And that's something that I wish we had more control over, but we don't. The county manager and I and Robinson talked about the situation when we met on St. Monday. We still got power poles that should have been relocated 2 months ago that's impeding construction as we move forward. They're still sitting in the middle of the ditches that we've got to combine, cut, and convey water off of the street. There again, we can call and bellyache and moan and fuss at Georgia Power and Diverse Power all they want to, but they're not going to move any faster than they are. That's just the nature of dealing with power company. I wish it was different. I wish there's things that I could call right now and make it happen, but that's not the case.
Is there someone, point of contact that the county has that can call the power company?
I have talked to Eddie Mullis today with the power company, and he was actually very pleased with the way Robinson was working with them. Because of some of the steep slopes out there, they can't move some of the power poles. Robinson's actually been going in and clearing paths for them to go in and be able to move the poles. So they're very pleased with the way Robinson's working with them. So I don't know what to tell you beyond that.
Is this Georgia Power? Diverse Power.
Georgia Power.
Who did you speak with?
Eddie Mullis.
Eddie Mullis?
And probably, Chris, the problem is the steepness of the terrain that they're having to deal with in some of the places.
Sure, I mean,
It's not an easy road to go down. We knew that when we went in there.
that's right, and we knew that when we designed it. Obviously, in a perfect world, if we were all magic, we could snap our fingers and have green grass and blacktop pavement, but we understand it takes a time, effort. Regarding the schedule, we did have 180 days in the bid documents. However, the project was bid under Georgia Department of Transportation plans and specs, and part of their spec book, they do have provision for rain days. I haven't quantified them yet, but basically, we all lived through December and January. We had about 16 inches of rain in December and probably about half that in November. You can't build a road that's going to last when you've got water seeping out of the material. It's got to dry. There's a construction process. You've got to get compaction. When you bring it up field, you can only bring this into 6 to 8 inches. And yes, we did change some of the vertical and horizontal geometry of the road, but that was to meet the design standards. There's published guidelines and national standards that we design off of to meet certain site distance and other types of safety issues that are associated with a design speed, and that's why some of the geometry changed on the road. It takes a process to move dirt from one end of the job to the next and vice versa, as well as raising the grade in these lifts to obtain the compaction that's needed. So, I'm not trying to steal Patrick's thunder and talk about the construction aspect, but that is the process when you look at building a road. Regarding the driveways, we realize that several driveways aren't complete. Some of them was probably left in a situation that to none of our likings. We discussed that at length Monday in our site visit with the contractor, and they assured us that they would be corrected. We want to make sure that there's a near grade intersection with the road and the driveway, that there's plenty of ample site distance to the left and right, and nobody's dragging or having to jump around to get on the road. And I think in time, and hopefully in a short period of time, that will correct itself out. The water issues from the Kemp property, the mud, I know that we're doing inspections out there weekly, every 7 days, to look at the erosion control devices. We do stormwater sampling upstream and downstream on every half-inch rain event. There again, when you get into a clay situation, you get the amount of rains that we have, your erosion control devices are only designed for a 25-year storm event. That's the national standard, that's the state law, that's the Georgia DOT specification. Unfortunately, we can't predict the amount of rainfall that we got in December. I know that even in the bid and the award process, Robinson was leery of getting the notice to proceed in November, knowing that the winter is not the ideal time to build a road. However, we went down that road, we started construction, and, you know, I feel like that they're making progress, and if we would continue the course, we can get there at the end of the day. The double pipe at Mr. Taylor's, that was brought to our attention. We brought it to the contractor's attention. I think it's just a matter of logistics and getting another piece of pipe connected to it. Obviously, you know, what the design calls for. If you had a double driveway, you get a double driveway back with a flared-in section on both ends. If you had a single driveway, you get a single driveway back. If there's a property that is on the right-of-way that currently is not serviced with with a pipe, excuse me, no pipes are added. We can't go back and add a driveway to every parcel that's out there. So the road's said and done.
Excuse me, don't put two pipes in the driveway that didn't have none of it.
Yeah,
Ours, my nephew.
I don't understand why they put it in there.
And he had probably a 50-foot area that the bus turned around in. He's got a 10-foot pipe now.
Right. I think, Greg, you mentioned something at the meeting that y'all made some provisions with the property owner.
Well, it's supposed to go to their pipe.
Our driveway was 32 feet wide.
It's supposed to go
They
to
left it
their
wide.
property so that the bus could turn around.
Sure.
But they still put a pipe in, and we didn't have a pipe.
Right. And we'll be glad to discuss those on a case-by-case situation. I don't know exactly where you guys are located on the plans, and we can take a look at it, and we'll make sure that we get you guys exactly what you had to begin with. As far as the condition of the driveway, if you had a concrete or asphalt driveway, you get similar material back. If you had a dirt drive, you get a gravel driveway back, you know, nice 24-foot wide with graded aggregate base. But all those things are, you know, when you're caught in the middle of trying to dry dirt, move dirt, you know, it's not going to be perfect all the time. And that's something that we impressed upon on a contractor. You know, let's try not to take down too big of spaces at a time. Let's try to get some things put back together. But there again, like I said, when the dirt's on the other side of the job that you need to build in that section, you do have to jump around a little bit and have some leeway as far as the construction means and method. Trees, I think we've already discussed that. Mr. Taylor brought it to us. Driveway issues, there again, the county has my contact information. I'll be glad to leave my contact information with Ms. Nancy for you guys to contact me directly. I will make myself available to walk your property, to look at what the plan showed versus what you have, and get the contractor on board, and we'll make sure that you're left with a safe, passable driveway when it's all said and done.
Can I just interject one thing, because I think this needs to be done. And it doesn't need to wait a week. On his driveway is the most crucial thing we have. And it needs to be done tomorrow. And that, we don't have any rain until Thursday. We've had 2 dry days. That is dangerous. And all the talk is good, but that needs to be taken care of.
If I can, that driveway, it's my understanding, is going to require work off the right of way.
It's required,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's going to require work off the right of way. And what, we had our surveyor look, and what I've been told, it may be to the extent of 100 feet beyond the right of way. Our people are instructed not to leave the right of way. We cannot encroach on private property. We're willing to do whatever it takes to accommodate anybody with the driveway they want, but the county or somebody's got to secure an easement. You know, if an easement's secured, then we can go well beyond the right of way.
Tell us how much we need, and
You know, Chris, I'll tell you the final, but that's,
Chris,
Yeah, we can quantify that and develop.
can you give me, how quickly can you give me a legal description to make that happen so we can get him an easement? I mean, I go by that, I mean, I didn't know that. If I'd known that, it would have been taken care of 3 weeks ago. So,
Is that the usual, when the road is built up so high that the
That's-
driveway becomes so
Well,
steep and dangerous?
If you look at,
yes,
if you look at the plans, I mean, we do have construction easements in areas, we do have some work that goes out of the right of way. And as I mentioned, and I appreciate your attendance at the meeting on Monday, that we were able to walk the site and look at it. You know, I cannot, you know, when we designed these drawings, somewhat in a vacuum, if you will, you know, we went out and did a topographic survey, we applied the engineering principles. You know, with a job this big and with the amount of variables that are associated with a road project, any road project, I've been doing this for 20 years, and you know, there are certain cases that you have to hone in a little closer and come up with individual solutions. And it sounds like we've got a couple of driveways that we need to spend a little more time with the contractor and the landowner to come up with a workable solution. You know, when you're doing a topographic survey with this length, as I mentioned in the field, you're taking, you know, cross-sectional shots, and I don't want to bore you guys with the technical stuff. You know, you try to pick up every feature that changes, but, you know, from a design standpoint, you can't shoot every 5 feet down the road. That's just not practical.
We understand. Just, I need whatever I need to get it to John, to get him an easement so Patrick can fix it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't need to have a long discussion about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I understand. I just.
Can I ask
mean,
a question?
And I believe the gentleman whose driveway they're talking about wanted to say something.
Yeah, I talked to the, you remember that?
We were together, but I don't remember his name, but he was supposed to be the supervisor, I thought, or the head guy over the crew, whatever.
He talked about that distance off the road, and he said, you know, legally, we can't go more than, say, 100 feet off the road without, you know, the permission of me, is the way I understood it. And I told him he can go as far back as he wants to make it safe. I mean, I'm more than willing to do whatever I need to do, just to have it done.
I like to, all the people that sit down and complain about talking to our people in the field, and this and the other, in all due respect, our employees are directed to be accommodated to anyone on the project to avoid conflict, okay?
Well,
So if you come up,
if
you come up and ask me for a gold bar, you can
If
say,
you
I
got a
want to
dangerous
go.
issue, you need to have it taken care of.
Pardon?
I said, when you have a dangerous issue, it needs to be addressed.
I
And
understand.
why doesn't he go to one of you and say, look,
We've been trying to address it.
we've
But
been
for me, I can't do anything without something in writing, okay? That's what we ask for.
When somebody gets hurt, it's a little different, writing and all that.
Let's keep this
Get a
down.
child hurt, I'll bet you it'll be a different story.
I understand it, but let's keep this down. We will address this, we'll get some.
Yes, sir, I will, I apologize.
Any driveway issues, if we can get written clarification that you want a wider driveway, then we can go back and widen. You know, we've tried to do that with the bus turnaround location. The driveways like the one that's so steep, you know, we've been trying to work, but we just can't direct our people to get outside of the right of way. And it's an issue for the county as well.
And Patrick, now that I know what needs to be
Yeah.
done, and I've told Chris what needs to be done, I expect that to happen very quickly.
If we can get written confirmation from the county, we're okay to encroach on the property,
I mean.
then we can
John,
do that, you know, the very next day.
Can we do that without a written easement? Can we just say,
And all we're really looking for is a construction easement.
hang on.
It's very easy to draw the construction easement. I mean, they put it on the plat, we put it on the plat, and I put it on a piece of paper, and we get it signed, and then everybody's protected.
What do we need as far as a legal description?
We get the width and length of the easement,
Off the right of way.
off the right of way across,
Can you get that done for me tomorrow morning?
He's gonna have to get with Mr. Bright.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is, you know, if we can, I know Mr. Taylor and then Mr. Harold, I apologize. Last name.
Harold.
I've got a bad name, last name too, but, I definitely will make myself available in the morning or whenever you guys are to meet on site, that we can develop a plan of action. I'll have my survey team on site, we can take actual topographic shots, come up with a design solution. Because the problem that you get in the situation is visually it looks good and we can pull tapes and all, everything fine, but until we put the pen and paper into the math, it might be longer or shorter. So, you know, I understand your sense of urgency, but
Well,
let's do it.
I mean, it scares me when I see it.
Right, and it's very, you know, it's an issue for us. I mean, that's why we mobilized and been on site, and this has been one of my primary focuses ever since it was brought to my attention last week.
Right.
So, we definitely will take that into consideration. I guess I'll yield to the county. I don't want to go start having individual meetings with 27 landowners. I feel
No,
like somebody's got to buffer that.
I understand, but that one, and then we already know about the Taylor's issue.
Right.
That's already being addressed. And we know Flournoy's have agreed to a bus. We put all this in writing.
Ours is fine.
You're just done? Yeah,
Ours is
okay.
done.
Okay.
Ours is fine. The one above ours has a pipe there's no pipe there. And he said they didn't put pipes in driveways that didn't have pipes. And ours and one above us have pipes now that we never had a pipe. Ours is fine with the pipes. They made it wide enough the buses can turn around. That's where she's going to turn around anyway.
There may be some drainage issues and we're not going to.
Right, I mean, and that's, you know, without getting into the level of detail.
He just made a statement that there were no pipes put where there weren't.
Rule of thumb, that's basically what we're trying to do. Like the manager said, if there's some drainage or some conveyance of water, you know, we may have to add some additional storm drainage or cross-drain pipe to provide adequate drainage.
I have another question.
I'm gonna get into some timing issues later after y'all go through your remarks.
I have a question as to why we had to have sight distance that you have put on the road if it was going to be a two-lane paved road. Our sight distance, our sight problem on that road was because it was one-lane roads in many places that you couldn't see. Once it's two-lane and paved, we didn't need sight. We just wanted a paved two-lane road, and it would have been safe. I don't quite understand why we had to have this sight distance so we could see all the way down the road.
Going back to the engineering and the design standards that we have to use from a liability standpoint, from a safety standpoint, there's vertical and horizontal geometry that's associated with design speed, regardless of if it's a two-lane or four-lane road. All those parameters are considered, and that's why you come up with the vertical radiuses and the horizontal radius.
It just doesn't make much, and I guess you know, it doesn't make much sense why we built up, the end of the road, they built up 4 to 6 feet, when if you cut the hill down, it would have been a straight road. We could have seen from that area to this area without having a road built up, if you cut that curve out. And that's what we thought was going to happen. That curve was going to be cut out, and we had a straight road, and we could have been able to see it.
And that curve is going to be cut out now.
Well, it is cut out, I know it is, but it's 6 feet above the ground.
Well, that's a section of the road, and Patrick can talk the timing, and see, we're not done with that section. I mean, there's still grading, and a lot of these issues that I believe that are brought up, you know, it is a combination of timing and where the contractor are in the construction process. As they progress, these issues are going to start falling out. Now, the bad thing that caught us all is we had about 2.5 months that we couldn't do anything because I think the notice to proceed was issued in November. You guys started clearing and grubbing, and then we had a dirt road, for lack of better terms, and then it rains 22 inches. You know, if it hadn't rained, probably 75% of the times.
Would you like to know how many rain days we had? They missed very few days.
And that's something that, you know, I haven't been out there every day, and I'll be the first to tell you that I haven't been. And I appreciate the data that you guys have associated. We'll be glad to look at and share it with the contractor and talk about it. I believe I've discussed all the design-related issues. I'll let Patrick talk about any
Let's do that.
construction or timing.
Some time. Okay, Patrick.
Again, you know, anybody that approaches our employees out there are gonna get agreeable comments. We direct our employees to do that, to avoid confrontation. Any issues with driveways, we can address once we get confirmation from somebody, yes, we can encroach on somebody's property further or whatever. The driveway in question that is bothering everybody, we can get confirmation from the county, we have permission to encroach on the property, we can do that the very next day, or the very same day we get confirmation, weather permitting. As far as the mailboxes and driveway accessibility, I can take care of that tomorrow. I was not aware that that had become a problem, but I can address that with our field people in the morning and remind them that they need to keep the mailboxes at the correct elevations, and any property owner that had to buy a mailbox or a post, they can let me know how much, we'll be glad to reimburse that. Our people should have been bringing those things up as they went instead of leaving them buried in a hole. The only thing we were really aware of with an issue with the postal carrier was they claimed they didn't have accessibility.
Can I comment on that quick? Are they actually concreting the post back in, or are they just?
No, we can't.
Can't just?
If you have a decorative post, I tell you now, we cannot put that back up.
Okay. Well, I mean, we just had a 4x4 post in a slip
Yes,
over.
we cannot set that, well, 4x4, yeah, 6x6 we couldn't.
Yeah.
We can only go back with a postal standard rule.
Yeah, I mean, they put ours back in, but
Yeah.
like I could,
Yeah.
just push
We
it right.
can't really pour concrete around it,
Okay.
what's going on, whatever, but we can't do something that's not breakaway.
I got you.
And that's a federal standard.
Yeah.
As you say, you're going to address the schedule. I want to understand that things are not just like the homeowners want. But we took the project late in the year, really much to our, it was not ideal, okay? We tried to make a point to kind of understand it's the worst time of year to start a project. And unfortunately, December, January were probably the wettest December, January we've had in the last 10 years. We were also told during pre-bid and pre-construction meetings, the county has a very tight budget on this project. We've tried to be mindful of the budget. For example, if you go east of where we currently have rock, into the bottom, coming down the hill, there's a stream, a live stream. So we've tried to avoid those areas, work around those areas, in hopes that those areas will dry up enough for us to complete the road, cut new ditches, and not have to require a bunch of additional work. Trying to be mindful of the county's budget. So, when the property owners perceive that we're not working, it may be just literally that's too wet. If we get a ½ inch rain with the material you have out there, it takes 2 to 3 days to really get dry enough material to get back in there and work and have satisfactory conditions to make a satisfactory road.
Well, we can understand that, but my major concern right now with where you have stopped working is there's nothing on that road to protect the drivers from, you can't go through it. And I know you don't want to waste a lot of material and stuff to put on top of that road while it rains, and we understand the rain. But you gotta put something there. You're working, you come in after it rains and grade it again, and then it does the same thing. If you had something on top of it, until you can get back and actually start working again, then it would not get in the condition that it gets, and you gotta come back every 2 days after the rain and grade it again. I understand, we've been in construction all our life, we understand that we don't like homeowners to come in and look at a house and say, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing that? We're not finished with the job, we will get to that, I understand that. But a lot of our issues are because it's taken and I know it's not your fault that it took so long to get this road started. We could have started this road a lot sooner if things had happened better. But the issue now is the fact that we've got this area of road, it's not a very long stretch, just needs some gravel put on it until you can get it dried out and can get the other issues worked out to where it doesn't wash the dirt and we don't sink in the ground this deep.
Patrick, let me ask you a question here, and maybe we can set up to the table with this, because we have our own gravel storage. My question is, if we run down there and take a couple of tandems and give you a couple loads of gravel and spread them out, my concern, and that may address her problem, but my problem is then, do we screw up your compaction issues by putting that in there? So we could work, when we get in a situation like that and we've got budget concerns and the commission, we've got money in the budget for some road material. So if we could facilitate that issue, which facilitates her concern, and facilitates your budget concern, because you gotta pay your salary and whatnot. Is that amenable to all around? Then, I mean, how much, do we just need a couple of tandem loads of number 57? What do we
It
need?
really depends on the situation. Typically, when we're in a project like this for the DOT, they have an item called aggregate surface that they include in the project for these type of conditions. If you're working and you have prediction for a big rain event, then you can put, a loose layer of material down to try to accommodate traffic.
Okay.
But we don't have that facility here. In some instances, we actually have put some material down at our expense.
Up until this point, you've done a wonderful job of doing a section, putting gravel down. This point has been going up for a month, it's been this way. And it's just not acceptable.
My guys are spread very, 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 very thin, but, a safety concern is our number one thing. And so, it's gonna probably rain on Thursday. My guys are still working Thursday. If we need to put a couple of loads of 57 down, let me know and I'll try and make that happen. Okay, is that acceptable?
Yeah, are you through grading that part for the, at least where?
I don't know, I'd have to ask about which section, how close they are to grade. I really
Yeah,
can't.
we need to take care of it, but if you want to grade it 2 days, then we'll grade it.
The other day, we got a substantial amount of rain more than what we were really predicted to get. So sometimes, for lack of a better term, you just get caught with your pants down and doing that kind of work.
Okay.
But some of the runoff are, what are the requirements for silt screens and things like that? It could be protecting, for example, Mr. Kemp's property, the creek that runs there. I know debris can wash, and that's one thing that can hit you, but when you're getting so much mud, what are the requirements?
Right now, as far as I understand, Chris has been doing inspections, we have all the required BMPs up. I can tell you, I've been doing this over 20 years. Really over that, I'm around this type of work since I was a little kid. When you have the type of rain events, especially like we had in December, January, there's no...
I'm speaking more recently to the more reasonable rains. I understand that's, that's an anomaly.
Well, we had another one that blew out in Lake Road, so we've had two.
Yeah, it's
bad.
But still, just with some of the washes with these periodic rains, I didn't know, because to me, in seeing the property, it seemed as though I would have expected, and maybe wrongfully so, that there were more things such as silt screens up to protect just the usual runoff on the side.
This is the first I've been made aware of a problem with this property in runoff. I'm not sure if you...
This is the first I heard of,
we can add additional BMPs.
Part of the problem was cutting ditches, for rain, and they pushed some dirt into the shallow ditches, so it didn't work. So the water ran across the road, over the road, and did the damage.
Until they
No
start.
matter just not cleaning out the ditches. Or stopping back up after the work.
All right.
I only have one question, only one, but I would like for it to be clarified for this board. Is it your professional opinion that we should not have started this project at the time we did? Based on past history?
It's less than an ideal time, yes.
Okay, thank you.
But I also want to caveat that we probably had the worst December and January we've had in 10 years.
I understand
And that's just, none of us could predict it, but
No.
what we're going to have here. And also, unfortunately, the material we're dealing with, the Georgia red clay is the worst thing you can have trying to build a road and have rain. It's just, once it gets the moisture in it, it takes really nice, hot, windy days to get it back out. So some days they perceive we may not be working as, we're trying to be mindful of your budget, but you just, the next day after it rains, it's cloudy, you're not going to accomplish anything.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have
Said
one-
at the end of the day, we need to address this. I know you just met yesterday with all of you, and I wanted all of y'all plus the county to be there so that there's a full understanding of the parties, so that there's no pointing fingers in others' absence. We want to get this thing in. Don't know whether you had time yet, and maybe you heard some things tonight, although I think you should have been aware of them. If you haven't, we need to know when the end of the day is on the total project. And immediately, we need to know, and I need to know from us, John. You said it's a simple thing to draw this right-of-way thing. Mr. Brightwine, I guess, has to be a part of that because it's his property.
Just give us construction easement.
How do we get you, Brightwine, and whoever else together so that we can get that done?
He can, email me the dimensions on the easement. I draw the easement, I can mail it back, email it down here, take it out and get it signed, and you're ready to go.
Well, I'm gonna give him my card so he has my email contact information and can call me.
When do you think you could have those dimensions to be able to get to that?
If we can get right of entry and so my guys can build personal property, get additional survey information, we can turn as many situations as we have. I think really, we're looking at probably 3 or 4, maybe at the most at the moment. That
I'm only
includes.
worried about that one right now.
Well, if we want to just isolate on one, if we can get right of entry, I can have a survey crew out there tomorrow, and hopefully by the end of the day, if not the beginning of the following day, we can have the easement drawn up and get to Mr. Taylor for execution.
My driveway can wait, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
Mine's not a dangerous.
I'm not gonna let yours go away, but his is the danger one, and that's,
Right.
I think
I'd like
that's.
to see his taken care of, and then we can.
What does he need to do to give them right of entry? Just an email or what, John?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's no big deal. Tell them to survey it.
He just gave you right of entry, it's in the minutes.
And we'll have a survey crew out there tomorrow.
All right, good.
And make sure before you leave, I'll give you my card so you can give me your contact information.
All right.
So if it goes according to that scenario, when will the work be done?
Probably depends on how much rain.
As soon as we get it, we'll start the very first.
Is it a 2-day project or 1 day?
I don't know, I can't tell, I haven't seen how significant the fill is there. From what I understand, it's a pretty significant amount of work to go in it, it'll be a multiple day,
Probably gonna need a pipe.
a multiple day process.
And I'm concerned too, if we, it's been a while, it's been several weeks since I've ridden that project, but there are some drop-offs. If there's gonna be drop-offs off that driveway, we're gonna need to put guardrails or something on the side.
Tomorrow, we will be putting barrels up on the project
Okay.
to help,
Already there.
to help.
Barrels are
People-
already.
We're gonna, we're gonna,
Okay.
Can I ask a question on the site? When the road is complete, will there be shoulders, just guardrails, both?
We're designed to have shoulders and, we've got minimum and maximum slopes, coming on the ditches, so all of that will be addressed.
So you'll definitely have, all that area don't have a shoulder?
Yes, ma'am. And one thing that I'll point out,
Before we put shoulders on.
look, start to see, we've got a, basically, I think we measured over there around 25, 26 feet of rock. When it's all said and done, we're moving 20-foot asphalt paved road. so the rock is on the outside of where the paved road's going. So in some cases, when I was out there Monday, it does look like the shoulder kind of falls off the road, but if you're looking at the GAB and visually, you know, I was thinking too, well, this is the width of the road, but if you cheat it back in 1.5 foot where we've got the actual center line of the road and.
How wide a shoulder we gonna have?
It varies in, multiple locations and, you know, we need to just clarify that and some wide shoulder.
This is something we're gonna have to look at too, because our contract specified 4-foot shoulders. And that's what we want.
And I'm asking for some LV money for some guardrails there too.
I mean, that's one of the design issues that.
Does that entrance need to be looked at the intersection of, where the new entry's cut in there?
I didn't figure out why we cut that new entrance anyway. Something new.
As far as for line of sight geometry, I mean, we were
We
coming in
had a
at,
stop sign down there, it doesn't matter.
There's
unfortunately,
state requirements.
yeah, unfortunately, we can't design and say, I'm going to put our professional civil and the county at harm for lawsuits to say, well, everybody's going to obey the stop sign, and everybody's going to run 25 miles per hour on a road that's got a 25-mile speed limit. Having done design for multiple years, you cannot design for every single case. If you do, you'll have a road that can never be built because it will cost so much. You have to design for the 85th percentile. So, you know, when I tell people what we're designing for, it's the, you know, and this is what my professors in college told me, I mean, you're designing for the 4-foot little old lady that's barely seeing over the steering wheel, and you take those into consideration, and then factor out the components associated with it. So, you know, we're addressing safety, line of sight, and then changing that intersection to a true 90-degree versus the skew that it was. That is a state and local requirement.
Yesterday, kind of when we finished the meeting, there were two things that we were hoping to have by today. And one was, of course, a schedule of completion, and the other was specifics and reasons for the changes in various plans. I wondered if you had a chance to address those.
I'm in the process of clarifying that from a construction schedule standpoint. I can't speak to that as a contractor issue. I made Mr. Robinson aware of that and Patrick. So, you know, I think you guys have got to tell us, you know, how many rain days and then when we can project a substantial completion.
That wasn't related, so.
Yeah.
So I would have brought a schedule here with me tonight.
Okay, because we would like to
That's
see
something I
that to
can
know,
work on.
please. And how about with the issues with the changing plans?
I feel certain that, you know, in the next day or two, I'm gonna, if y'all grant me the latitude, focus on the driveway issues.
Oh, absolutely.
And get that resolved,
Yeah.
and then quantify that, and hopefully have a memo to you by the,
Okay, that'd be great, thank you.
But, you know,
I'd rather, I think you need to present a memo, but a person present that so that it can be discussed.
absolutely, we'll meet with, whomever, if it's with the county manager.
Yeah.
one of the things gonna hand in hand with the schedule wise would be some of the issues like the water on the east end of the job that's running right now, how are we gonna address that? From which standpoint, do you wanna let that, see if it can dry enough for us to get the fill in and get everything graded and new ditches cut, or do you wanna try to address that beforehand? Because right now, there's a nice stream flowing from east to west.
What does the engineer say about it?
But that was a condition that, when we surveyed and designed it, there was not a flowing stream there. Once we got the rain and the movement of material, that spring head or something developed. So that's something that, you know, in my opinion.
Was there a spring there, was that a? It's not
I've lost it for 20 years. There's always been.
Is it intermittent or?
Yeah, there's always been running water, because I used to go there and stand and go, oh, this is beautiful, it's always running. And it was, even in the drought. It was always.
Somebody didn't look. When they present what, the things that you just asked about, Ms. Junie, with change of plans and time limit, could someone please email me, let me know the issues that you are solving with them, what those, so that we will be aware of it?
Sure.
Somebody keep me informed, I can keep neighbors informed, and you just keep me in the loop on everything so that we won't have
Yes.
this issue of who
Absolutely.
knows what and who doesn't know what and who's doing what and who's not doing what. My other issue, this may be just to the county, I don't know, the three-way stop sign down where they're putting the new entrance, we have a three-way stop sign down there now. We as residents on the road and everybody on that road still want that three-way stop sign there. And do you know what the speed limit's gonna be on
You're
that?
talking east or west end?
Morgan Grove, and I don't tell you what the east, but I'm not a direction person.
That's okay. That is. I don't know if there are any plans to remove any stop sign. Would be,
Still be a
of
three-way
course,
stop.
Richard Washington was on that curve, that was just one road, and therefore there's no stop sign.
Right.
But from what I've heard, a lot of folks don't
When they-
stop at Morgan Copeland.
When they paved Morgan Copeland, that was the end of them
A lot
stopping.
of us don't really stop going up to Washington either, but we can see the whole thing. I won't tell a lie here. I'll slide by myself.
But we
We'll
don't
race
fly.
that we can take.
We slow down. We do slow down. Morgan Copeland people don't, and sometimes garbage trucks don't either. We almost got hit by one.
That's why it's a three-way, it makes a lot of sense for safety.
Do we know the speed limit?
My understanding is it should be 25.
25.
25.
That's what it was originally posted as, and that's what we designed it as, a 25.
Been designed as 25 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And that's what the exist- that's what the posted original
Which is
speed
fine
limit.
with us.
And as far as people running stop signs, that's not, you know,
I know you-
I recommend you call the sheriff department and have Sheriff Dodge stay out there, because that's something that I
Hopefully
can't.
after.
I know it's your driveway, you said it's already done, but what, there's still some stuff needs to be done, right?
Well, and I think this might be because construction's not finished. When they grade the road, along the entire road, there's a lip about this high of dirt.
Okay.
And it runs, all the road used to run off of the road, or most of it, the majority of it, into the wooded area between driveways. Now they're running straight down and down the driveway. Where we have had a small area on our driveway that just the road coming from our driveway went down. I mean, you know, you could barely see it. Now it's a road about this deep. So, and I know that that's because
But let's make sure that's addressed too.
they knocked some dirt when
There'll be some drainage issues.
where our mailbox is, knocked it down, so it'll go in the
They've got
woods
shoulders
instead
there to
of.
back up asphalt, you box out and create your shoulders, and once it gets paved and
Right,
right.
but
What
we're
we
in
may
that
need to
right
do is
now.
put a little hump in front of the driveway to push the water
Correct,
beyond.
yes,
And then put some flow drains in beyond, so.
that'd be fine.
That's,
Right
you
now,
know,
right
I'd
now it's
rather do that,
flat.
not to wash out every slope,
Yeah.
every rain, you kind of control that
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
So.
All right, now, Georgia Power is proposed. You've talked to this fellow. Y'all were supposedly working closely with
Hey,
him.
Moses, yes.
What do we need
As best we can.
more to, I mean,
There's an 800-pound gorilla in the room, okay?
I understand that, and I thought about that earlier.
Well, from my discussions from Georgia Power today, it sounded like everything was sunshine and uniforms, but,
Well, they're not out looking and see what they're supposed
Well,
to
Eddie
do.
Mullins is not out there.
Or maybe we need to understand
well,
as.
no, but this is, they were very happy with what Robinson was doing, because some of the slopes out there, they say are too steep for them to deal with. And Robinson is going out, fixing the slope so they can move their pole, so.
I understand, but I think the issue that we're having is with the subs and cutting the trees, just
Well,
not
that's-
knowing, is
that's
somebody else going to come in?
I can speak to you for that, because that's very common with them. When
Okay.
they do right-of-way relocations for even the DOT, they have pools of contractors that they use. And Chris is right, they have contractors, what they call high line trimmers, or trimmers, okay? They top trees out, then they have the other companies that are qualified that can come in and take the tree down and mulch it.
Okay, so then you, in your opinion, that's what they're going to do. After they get the.
That's
trees
very
down,
common practice.
it will
Two
come
different
in.
contractors, this guy can't touch the tree, cut it down, but he can cut the limb.
Right, I know,
And
right.
that's just the nature of the
Right.
beast.
But if you are, in your opinion, that's what will happen, eventually, we will have all that mulched up and the trees will not be
It
standing
would
there.
surprise me if not. That's typically what they do. You know, they have a pool of contractors that, you know, pay insurance and have the people work up high. And then they have other contractors that work cheaper for them if they don't have to go and top out a tree.
Two comments. I don't want to assume that that's what's going to happen. I want to make that stated that that's what's going to happen. And number two, you say you've done about half the road, they've limbed about half of it.
Now, I don't know about their schedule or,
They've limbed about, why can't they start having a crew? I don't know what their time
Well,
is.
he told us the other day that that's what they were gonna do
Oh, all right,
in the
all right.
next couple of
And
days.
the county's reimbursing them $81,758 to move the poles.
I think we need to push that with Georgia
I
Power.
better give you some good mulch.
He said they were just gonna throw it into the woods, and then I've covered it.
Is Eddie Knowles the contact person if, when all is done, that would be able to get another crew back out there to resolve any issues? Is that the right person?
ultimately, no, probably not. Eddie is a design engineer
Oh,
for
okay.
the power company. And really all he can do is contact a right-of-way person or a construction person that's in charge of these subcontractors for them to schedule the work or push it along. They're worse than the federal government, okay? Their bureaucracy is so, and they all have their own,
They don't
I'm not getting shot, but they're all unionized. So this guy's got his little thing, and he won't go over here and mess with this
Well,
guy.
do we know who a contact person would be if we have a...
Eddie, I'm sure could tell you that.
Okay.
Yes, and working with Georgia Power, I've had to work with 3 different people. One for right of way, one for initial contact, and Eddie for design. So, I mean, and that's just the one, so.
Just to know where to go.
But Eddie seems to be my go-to guy, and if you want me to contact him and find out what, I've got a note here, find out when the cut and mulch will happen, and he'll probably point me in the right direction. I will do that and have that report back to you as soon as I can.
Ask if you can find a pole mover too. So you get the pole.
Yeah, please do that and find out who he reports to.
Well, I know who to go to, food chain. You and I, we have, he has a bulkhead.
I know, they had a setback in their acquisition, in their right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah.
Significant, that cost them
All right.
a lot of issues.
So when are we gonna have the plan finished up
I should be able to have it to you Monday or Tuesday.
for the whole project?
Our best estimate based on.
I understand.
That will be an estimated date, that's not a completion date, Monday or Tuesday, is it?
Well, you know, not trying to get facetious.
I just want to be sure that's,
If he could do
That
that,
is
we
what
would
I'm
not.
saying, not the completion of the project.
Okay. All right. And as far as the changes, give me a time on that.
Friday, you'll have,
Friday,
Mr. Wood
this
will have-
week?
yes, sir, Mr. Wood will have a memo at Sunrise, and we'll follow up a face-to-face meeting in his
All right.
convenience.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to step away from the dais so I can give my card to the gentleman.
All right.
You know, from our standpoint, if there are any issues that the property owners can voice them to Mr. Wood or Nancy, Ms. Nancy, then we can try to schedule a weekly meeting with Mike Brown, as a kind of conveyance to go over or address any issues,
Okay.
if that needs to be the case.
All right. Yeah. Mr. Wood, of course, Mike Brown is our roads guy, and needs to be involved with Mr. Wood. I'm going to put him as the key to this, as far as keeping all this information flowing, and keeping these dates, and working with the residents. And then I want a full report to this Board of Commissioners, certainly at each one of our meetings, but more immediately by email to everyone so that we know what is going on too and can answer any questions or concerns of anyone that we may get a call.
Who do I need to address our issues to between now and whenever we meet again?
Addressing Mr. Wood, copy me, if you will, please.
And I will copy you when I address them to either Robinson or to the engineer.
you folks need to be fully involved. Your patience has been tried, and tested, and failed, and I understand why it failed. So, let us, we certainly want you to be part of this process, and aware of it, and we will keep you up to date. As things develop, we will do so, and if things aren't developing, we will also keep you posted. And feel free at any time to contact me.
I would like to tell the contractor, he says that when you started this job, was not an ideal time to start it. But that wasn't our fault. We had all deeds on that road signed by March of last year. And they didn't start and give you a contract until that year, so. Not our problem. We didn't have an issue getting this road paved. The holdup was with the county and whoever was supposed to be handling that. So, we totally understand where you're coming from, but you gotta understand where we're coming from too, because we didn't make that date. We wanted it done because we've been waiting for 2 years.
And I apologize if I got a little testy.
It's okay.
I heard the clang.
They've been waiting
I
for
mean,
20
you do that
years.
myself, so.
All right. I know we don't have the final answers, but are we doing, are y'all happy with at least these dates that we got that we can encourage you folks to do and hold our?
We'll let you know in about 3 months.
Well, wait till we get to the final date, but more immediately, we got a Friday date, and we got a Monday, Tuesday date, and right line, we've got an absolutely urgent date tomorrow. Tomorrow, now, the rain may come in Thursday, I don't know what that's gonna do to us, but that is something.
And we're committed to working 6 days a week on a project as the weather allows.
Gentlemen, I thank y'all for being here tonight. We are concerned, obviously, as you're aware of that. The residents certainly have a right to be concerned. Communication, please, with us and with them. And, you know, if something starts to go haywire, please let us know so we can see if there's anything we can do or certain things that we can.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Board will please keep me informed on everything that's going on there, copying me with whatever. If I have any questions, I'll email you back.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Okay, folks, we departed from obviously from our 5-minute limitation for this, but it was an issue that is got us really in the ditch. Excuse the pun.
That's pretty bad.
It is pretty bad, but it needed to be talked about, so, thank you. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item is petition for road acceptance on Maddox Road, the north easement. We have, is that just to notify us and until they bring it back? So it's just, won't happen until we're notified. So
This will be embedded in the minutes.
okay. All right,
I have one item of old business.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's my same old business.
okay.
What's the status of the Springstead study?
On our status list. Supposed to have, where'd it go? By the end of the week, so they said by Friday, we were gonna get a status update, and I will get it to you as soon as they get it to me.
And I have an old business also. Just thinking back about the Sheriff's Department vehicle that was wrecked and you know, we approved that difference in money. Regardless of what our insurance carrier says, as far as whether they go with the purchase price or the current value, should we be able to recoup that from the fellow who caused the wreck?
We talked about that.
They're going.
I asked that same question at the last meeting.
They're going after them, so we'll end up getting our deductible back. We'll get our-
Not just the deductible, but the other. 'Cause that would be-
Right.
She wants a
Yeah, I mean-
Tahoe.
No, it just sounded like, well, that it was, that, we weren't going to be pursuing it.
No,
because our insurance carrier didn't.
I asked specifically that we pursue it at the last meeting, because we need to. You're
Oh, no,
right.
I agree, up to the full value. Yeah. So, thank you.
All right. Any other old business? Okay, I don't see Mr. Richard Mix in here. He was supposed to come and just talk to us, so if he comes in, we'll call him. Council and Fire Chiefs, fire apparatus from Splost. We must be in trouble with Jack McClung's recipe.
No. Not in trouble yet.
Going to the dance.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Please, give them something to look at while we talk. We come for you tonight about the splash for the fire apparatus. We've been talking with some vendors. It seems to, we should know that inflation is kicking in on everything. We just didn't know it would be this bad on apparatus. And after talking with them, they've been going up. You know, we started the process of the splash and went on 2013 information, you know, to get prepared for the splash. Of course, it was voted on and started in 2014. At that time, we went with the basic model of $270,000 for an apparatus, and there's 10 departments, so we asked for $2.7 million for apparatus. That was approved in the splash. Seems like inflation kicked in tune of about $7,000 a truck per year. And if you look on 2016, that's where we are now. Of course, that's not bid out, and you know, competitive bid process. Just what, you know, if we ordered the truck today from one guy, that's what the truck would be. So to try to stay ahead of inflation, we talked with different vendors and some of the finance companies that they use. And the information you got here shows from one of them, if we could buy the trucks, you know, spec them out, award the bid, and this is just one particular company, they all do it. Per truck, we would get $3,200 for a multi-truck discount, you know, if we bid them all at one time. And then a finance prepay work, they would get their money from the finance company that we would use would be $11,400 for the truck. So that kind of gets us back down to where we are a little bit more manageable. Fortunately, two of the departments wanted brush trucks, which those two pieces of equipment will not come close to $270,000. So hopefully there would be some money left over from that to go towards the other 8. What we're coming to you today is to see if it would be, I guess, get your blessing to proceed to spec these trucks, get them on a bid and bid them out, and see where we stand before inflation kicks in too hard on us and we can't afford anything.
Yeah, I got a quick question. So are we asking for 3 trucks here?
No, that was just one breakdown that he's looking at.
Well, because what I'm trying to figure out is,
it will be 10.
He's talking for all 10.
so
8 big ones, 2 little ones.
so what's the total on it?
Don't know until you bid them out.
Right.
Okay, so here's my concern, and I want to be perfectly honest, and then the commission can make a decision whether they want to pull SPLOST funds somewhere else. There's a possibility we may not make that full amount of SPLOST. So that could potentially leave a deficit. Who's going to accept the deficit? The commission's.
I have to ask a question. I know that we have kind of changed and said, all right, we're going to do, based on the percentage we raise, they go to these different areas. However, we still have the spillover area that if we set the stuff that we definitely committed, we felt like we certainly would get that amount of money. So out of those projects that were in that first section of projects, all of those would get a funded total. The ones in the overflow are the ones that jeopardy.
No, I'm still not positive we're gonna fund the 14 million. It depends on, because part of those projections were the Grove coming online and the timing of the Grove, and when we started getting additional revenues from that. Now, you can, there's areas like the recreation that we have $1 million set aside for, that you can say, okay, if we don't make the entire that, we'll make the fire department whole and leave recreation a little bit short. There's a few areas where you could short yourselves, for lack of a better term. The agreement we did when we did the fire truck for West Point is we are paying them a quarterly payment based on what their allocation is, but if there's a shortfall, they have to make up the shortfall. This is an entirely different situation because this is not a city, this is not, you know, these are 10 independent units. I defer to the attorney, but I think you certainly have an option within the SPOS to go ahead and allocate 100%, since it's the county's dollars, to allocate 100% to that project, and then take the shortfall where a shortfall may occur as long as, am I right?
I think you probably are. You know, I think it's plausible, but you know, what you're talking about doing is basically financing these trucks like you have done before with some of your road equipment and whatnot.
And that's a good idea.
Yeah, and you know, you pay it along, and I don't know of anything, but I'll certainly try to do my best to find out, and Paul and I'll get on it. Is if you go ahead and do it, you're not incurring any debt that you would otherwise have to have permission to incur under the SPOS, i.e. issue bonds. You know, and basically what you would be doing is you're getting it and you're paying for it monthly or quarterly out of SPOS collections. So I don't see any difference in, you know, paying, you know, wait until the end and buying it, or in saving you money, or either doing it as you go along. It certainly would be wiser to do it as you go along, particularly if you can save some cost. The question is then, you know, that is a little bit unknown, is what's the shortfall? Now, the county's going to be buying these vehicles. We're going to be letting them, you know, we have agreements with all these fire departments, and we can, you know, furnish those to them. So I would think that if there is a SPOS shortfall, either you're going to have to find some area of spillover, or you have to come off the hip for it.
And I'm not saying we are going to fall short, but I also don't want to lead the commission down a path.
It's wise to raise that. I thought certainly we set that number low enough so that we didn't think we would anywhere in the world fall short of it.
Have we ever maxed out on the SPOS?
We've never maxed out, but we have always met that lower number. And that's why those projects were involved. We knew we were going to do that, without question.
You always set the number higher than you expected, so that because you've got 5 years or the max number you set, you know, you don't want your SPOS to expire.
You don't leave any money on the table.
Yeah,
right,
well, that's
exactly.
exactly it. But we've always figured that, you know, it could be that it didn't develop as much, and in fact, the last SPOS, not the one we're on now, but the last one that was completed, we fell short. We still funded all of those projects.
Almost 50%, that's...
So,
Got a recession going into.
now, if we finance them, or the finance charges, so it might offset some of the savings. I still think it makes sense to go ahead and certainly lock in the price.
Three reasons. One is inflation. 2 is the interest rate is lower than inflation. And 3 is, well, maybe 4, is they need some new equipment now. And by getting them the new equipment now, we potentially are going to save the taxpayers some money on their ISO ratings. So that's the reason.
As we were understood from at least 2 manufacturers, the interest rate, what do you say, 1.9 or something?
Yes. It's lower than inflation.
Much lower. if we can finance it now and get them, the county will save the children.
And at this point, it really wouldn't cost us anything as far as to find out. We respect the trucks, we get the bid packets out to the vendors, and we get the bids back, and then we see where we stand. And, you know, then it will be up to y'all.
Well, of course, the financing could not extend over the beyond the, you know, the
Right.
slots. Correct. So you've got, what, 2.5 more years, 3 years left?
We would like that in the dispatch.
If you, now I forget what I was gonna say. So I'll just say congratulations to the newlyweds in the back. Y'all, we know we had newlyweds? No. Now you do.
And even more so than that, you want to talk about dedication, Roger Duke Barrett, his mother was sworn, and he's here. That's dedication for you, because this was important to be here.
Sorry, Rob.
So basically.
Oh, I know what I was gonna do. Great.
Because of the way we have to pay it out, we could not do a lease purchase like we do with,
I don't know, why not?
Yeah, I think you probably could.
And then
You
maybe
pay
that's
it,
where you
you
go.
pay it out of SPOS draws. And then, but you're gonna have to have it completed by the time your project, by the time the SPOS expires. Unless you want to pick up the tab out of your own pocket.
Now I remember what the question I had. I got just, the newlyweds were just, you know, they were so happy back there. Some of the departments are wanting to spec extra features into the vehicles. How are we gonna handle that?
We're actually one of them. And what we have discussed in our house was, we will fund anything over a certain level. And we decide what the base level is, if we exceed that, then we fund it. It's always the same.
Yeah, I know, but the question is how is that gonna be built in? Is it gonna be built into the monthly payment? Is it gonna be paid as a down payment? We need to have all those spelled out as we just saw with the Washington.
Well, I think we'd have to work with them, and us and them would have to work together to figure out how that money's gonna be paid, either up front or before delivery or something.
Right, I just wanna make sure we got all of,
I think it's fair.
That's a great idea.
Standard product, whatever that's.
Oh, we'd all love to have
be,
custom
and then
cab
any
trucks.
extras go on.
We're stepping down from one actually a custom cab truck, which lasts longer, but they cost about $80,000 to $100,000. One we just
How much
afford
was?
that. 80 to 100.
The house.
Yes, so we're stepping down from that.
For the base.
We don't have the funding of Rangers guys.
So can I smack the other?
That's true.
I just, excuse me, I got threatened, I was gonna be smart aleck and ask you, will these trucks have radios in them? And, the county manager made a threatening remark.
No, I want to clarify this. I asked if I had permission to smack the other.
Well, one thing, going back to the splash, we need to encourage our citizens, maybe get a campaign going to buy local.
Yes.
I mean, yes. You know, I know Columbus has a lot of stuff down there, but we're funding everything that they want to do. And we got 3 grocery stores, we'd all like to see another brand new one, but